And I think the mindset is huge. And remember, the biggest sex organ for both people is in your mind. It's in your mind. Like you can have full on sex and not be present but be having sex and not even be there. This is like robotic sex. But if you put your mind to it, put your mind and focus and be present and concentrate and stay in it and think about all the things that you love about each other and touching each other. I mean, fondling and foreplay, all of that is so important. But I think what makes for heroic, passionate sex is him having his testosterone levels up. If he's stressed, if he's exhausted, you're probably not going to get the best out of him. Same with her if she's stressed and exhausted. So creating those environments.
Welcome to Bring Out the Best with Daniele Hage. I'm your host, Daniele Hage, and Danielle is my mother-in-law and Nini to my 3 girls. Danielle is a pastor, speaker, and founder of Dynamic Traits. She has 40 years experience in marriage and family relationships. She's been married for 42 years to Steve Hage, who travels the world preaching the gospel, and together they pastor a church in Laguna Niguel, California. All right, so are you ready? Buckle up. Because today we're talking about what makes a woman great in bed and how to have heroic sex.
Okay, we don't have the answers for all the questions, but we do have some. Okay, so first of all, when men are asked what makes a woman great in bed, normally they'll say something to this effect: enthusiasm. Just the fact that you show up and you're a willing partner makes you the best lover ever. Okay, so that's a huge, huge part of it. Just being excited to be there with him makes you great. All right. And another thing is your ability to receive what he has to provide, because usually a man's what he has to provide far exceeds a woman's ability to receive. Okay. So we have to get used to enjoying what he wants to give us. All right. For example, a lot of women worry about how long it takes them to have an orgasm. Okay. And when men are asked about this, what they say is they don't care how long it takes. They are totally enjoying the process. Just be into it and be involved with them. And it can take as long as you need it to take. They don't care. There is no deadline, just so you know. So, and I think that's important for women to know because it frees them up. Right. It's like instead of your mind going, okay, got to do it.
Oh my gosh.
No, just
like
enjoy it. Yeah, because that is going to distract you from what you're feeling, from the pleasure that he's giving you. Okay, so just know men are not as concerned about that. And I think for women, because of all the studies and research that's been done on the almighty glorification of orgasms, it kind of becomes a chore to them, a job. Like they have to hurry up and do it, or it's not going to be satisfying for the man or even satisfying for themselves.
Right.
And again, that distracts you from enjoying the process.
Right.
And for men, because a man needs to have that release where if he doesn't and he is stimulated for any length of time, it almost is like a painful thing for him to not have that release, but it's totally different for women. But men feel like they must give their wives an orgasm because it's such a need for them. They feel like it's got to be a need for a woman too. Right. But most women, they enjoy the bonding and the snuggling and just being together. Most women are more than happy to have a quickie for their man to do, kind of a drive-through. It doesn't always have to be fine dining. And, just depending on timing, sometimes a quickie works. Yeah. And other times it's got to be a session.
So where and when is the best place to have that piece of communication? Like after sex has already been initiated, and say what, I'm good tonight. I just want to make sure you're good. We're good. Or is it kind of leading up to it?
I think that is a great question to ask when you know there's going to be sex tonight. I think it's a really good question for a man to ask a woman, what is it that you want to feel tonight?
Right.
What do you want this to look like? Because she might be like, I'm so tired, let's just do it.
Yeah.
It can
Whatever
be all for you.
Yeah.
I want you to be happy. I don't need anything. I just want you to be pleased.
Yeah.
And that would be probably a quickie. And then there's other times where a woman might say, you need to decide. I just need to feel like a soft, cuddly kitten. Or I just want a screaming orgasm. Can you do that? I mean, you just need to decide what is it that you need. Yeah. Because most men want to please a woman in bed. Because it has everything to do with their technique. And so they feel like if they can't give a woman an orgasm, maybe they have failed. So you need to be very clear about what it is you need, which is part of the problem, because most women don't know what they need. They can't decide on what they need in that particular session. Right. So I think we need to figure out what we need and then be able to communicate that with our man to have the best sex. So you're both on the same page.
Okay. And how can you tell him what you like and what you don't like in bed without making him feel like a failure?
Okay. Really, really good question. I would say you always start with appreciation. And this goes in all areas, not just sex, but you always start with what you appreciate about what he is doing really well. And then for women, I think the best way to go about it is telling him, you know what I noticed? That my body really responds when you do this. And every time you do that, oh my gosh, that really gets me going, because everybody's got their certain places of touch that feel good. And some women have a lot of sensitivities. Like there's some areas on her body that don't touch me there, doesn't feel good at all. Right. And I think a man that is being sensitive to how she's feeling and what her needs are, again, men want to please women in the bedroom. Unless, because I did come across this not too long ago, there are some really unhealthy men that just want to get theirs. And they don't really care if a woman has an orgasm enough or not. I had met a woman who was married 25 years, had 3 or 4 kids, never had an orgasm in 25 years. Wow. And I remember sitting down talking with her about it. And I said, well, was there a problem for you going there? And you know what she told me? She goes, no. She goes, I could give myself an orgasm. I just can't have one with him. But what that tells me is that he was selfish. He didn't take the time to get her warmed up. He didn't take the time to find out what felt good to her body. Yeah. And then come to find out, he'd been cheating all those years. Yeah. He always had someone on the other side. So he didn't really care about her pleasure in the bedroom, which is so, so sad. And I followed up with this woman later on, who they ended up divorced, of course, and she remarried. And I said, so how's the sex life? And she said, unbelievable. Yeah. The most unbelievable sex. She goes, and because he knows my past, she goes, he will not let me out of that bed until I've had more than one. And she said, it's so fantastic. But that was a man who really did care about giving her pleasure. So there are some unhealthy men out there, of course, as well as unhealthy women. Okay, so start with, you're great at this. I love it when you do this. This makes me feel good. This is what my body responds to. By you, again, paying attention to what you need and what feels good to you sets him up to win. Yeah. Okay, and men need to feel like they win in the bedroom, all right? So another thing is you need to know, ladies, what spikes a man's testosterone. There's a few different things. Yeah. Watching sports or playing sports. Okay, it doesn't matter. They can be involved or they could just be watching from the sidelines, gets a man's testosterone spiked.
Interesting.
An argument or a fight between the two of you
really
will spike his testosterone. You've heard the cliche, makeup sex is the best. Yeah. That's why. And I'll tell you, when my husband and I mean, we've had some down and dirty fights in our years of marriage, of course. And I remember one particular time we were in the car, we had pulled up to the house, we were by ourselves, and we're going at it. And we just cannot come to a resolve. And I am so angry, and he is angry. And then if you just stay in it, I've noticed if you stay in the fight and don't walk away, unless it's escalating to hostility or violence, of course, but it wasn't, that you will come to resolve. Right, and that was one of the times we were staying in it. We wouldn't get out of the car. And it just suddenly took a turn. It just, I don't know what happened. It took a turn. And my husband was like, we got to get in the house. We need to get in the bedroom right now. And I was like, what? But his testosterone was so spiked. And I have to admit, I'm a woman. I said, I need a little bit of time. Not quite there yet to be loving on you. I'm going to get over it, but give me a little time. But he could not wait to get me in the bedroom. Anyway, so that is a true thing, that arguing does spike it. All right.
I'm picking fights every day.
I'm going to pick fights. And another thing that spikes testosterone is anything that causes him to feel like the man. Okay, anything. So it might be a promotion at work. It might be an affirmation, or you admiring him, or you just giving him a compliment. Anything that causes him to feel like he is winning, he's succeeding, will get his testosterone levels up. It could be a certain physical touch. You're walking by in the kitchen, you just tap him on the knee or rub his thigh. I mean, again, for different men, it takes different things, but finding out what his love language is and speaking his love language can get his testosterone up. Any time that he knows that he has made you happy will get his testosterone up. Because when he makes his wife happy, again, let's be clear. A man is not responsible for your happiness, girls.
Right.
But he does hold himself accountable for it.
Right.
His responsibility is to make you happier. Not happy. We've got to be happy in and of ourselves. It comes internally. Yeah. It's not the external things around us. Everything lining up exactly perfect. Our circumstances, our life, we've got to choose happiness. Okay. But he can come along and make you happier. So when you let him know, this makes me so happy. I am so happy being married to you. I am so happy you are so responsible to get us out of debt. It makes me so happy you pay the bills on time. I mean, just those little things, acknowledging what he does for you. I love how you put the kids to bed at night. Yeah. It makes me so happy. I feel safe. I feel safe when you are the way you are with our children. Just things like that can get us testosterone levels up.
One of the common threads that I keep hearing in what you're talking about is just the simple, clear communication. That our men in bed need the simple, clear communication. This is what I need tonight. Right. This is what I would like it to be. And then just the simple, clear communication of, this is how you make me feel. This is how you take care of me. This is how you make me happy.
Right. Yeah.
That's good.
All those things are very important. One more thing I thought of that gets a man's testosterone spiked is danger. And that is something that women need to know, because we try to keep our men from ever experiencing any kind of danger. Like, we don't want them to ride Harleys. We don't, want them to go hunting or do anything that might cause them to get hurt.
Right.
We don't want our sons to do anything that is dangerous.
Right.
And I watch my daughter raising her sons. I've got 2 grandsons, and she's always, be careful. No, that's too high. No, don't do that. And I've started saying to her, let them fall. Let them hurt themselves. Let them experience some danger. It's what's making him a man. It's a good thing. And she'll go, oh yeah, that's right. It's like, we don't want them to be in danger because that's better for us as women. But, and so we try to take everything dangerous away from our men, and then we wonder where all the passion's gone. Well, they got no testosterone left. Okay. So it's okay for them to do some things that it's fun for them that you might consider dangerous.
Yeah.
Well, let me just say this, guys. The worst thing you can do that brings the absolute worst out of a woman, especially when it comes to the bedroom, is tell her it's not enough or critique her body. Remember, women are way, way harder on their bodies than a man ever will be. So they don't need you telling them what they already know, and they're already very judgmental of their bodies. I knew one couple that were kind of newly married, and the woman said to me at some point that he woke her up out of a dead sleep. She was a new mommy. Woke her up out of a dead sleep at 11 o'clock at night and wanted to have sex. And she was exhausted, but she was being a good little wifey and like, okay, and doing the best she could, being woken up out of a dead sleep as a new mom. And he says to her, and they're getting going, and he says, I need more from you.
Oh, wow.
And it just killed it for her.
Yeah.
Like, here she's trying to.
Everything.
I mean, that wasn't very sensitive. And I remember telling him, because I think I canceled them, you're lucky if you ever get anything from her. Because to let her know when she's doing the best she can, it's not enough. Way to go to wreck it for you, to wreck your sex life, guy. Wow. Way to go. Like, what a woman needs to hear more than anything are 3 words. And these 3 words will bring the best out of her in the bedroom. Ready? Are you ready? You satisfy me. Exclamation point.
Yeah, that's good.
Those 3 words. you satisfy me, because every woman wants to satisfy her man.
Mhm.
That she feels safe when her man is satisfied.
Right.
She feels very insecure if she can't.
Mhm.
So guys, if you want the most and you want her to keep getting better and better at it, because I think sex
Yeah.
needs to be practiced, especially when you're young and you haven't had a lot of experience. You got to practice. You got to learn each other's bodies and figure out what works best. So you have to do it a lot. But her knowing that you are satisfied will make all the difference.
That's good. That's really good.
What else?
And well, I know you've told us before, even just getting her out of her normal routine.
Yes.
You know, especially as a mom of young children and taking care of the house, everything speaks to us. The
Yes.
dishes speak to us. The children speak to us, obviously.
Right.
You know, the laundry speaks to us. Everything is talking. It's
Right.
just voices
The crooked
all
picture on the
around.
wall.
Oh my gosh.
Screaming at you to straighten
Yes.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, you go to your bedroom and you see the pile of laundry that needs to be put
Right.
away, or you hear, you know, the water running down the hallway because the
Yes.
kids got out of bed. And it's just constantly thinking about all the things that you're not doing, that you're not satisfying in your
Right.
role.
Right.
And it just becomes, for me, it becomes, you know, it can become anxious.
Yes. Yes.
But what have you told us before?
Yeah.
Like, get her out of that.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I think we had said at one point that the best place to have sex is in hotels, where she is away from her own environment, where the environment there is not screaming at her to clean it up. Okay. Because remember, the feminine energy in a woman wants to enhance, wants to pick up, clean up,
Yeah.
fix up.
Yeah.
So if she's in a place where it's pretty, her surroundings are pretty, there's a maid coming the next day. She doesn't
Right.
have to make the
Right.
bed. She doesn't have to clean the shower. She can be relaxed. Those voices are not talking to her. She can fully focus on you and focus on herself, her
Yeah.
own body, and you will have way better sex
Yeah.
when she's away from her
Right.
house.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
But
I can vouch for that.
But a hotel isn't always open and
Conducive.
available.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
conducive.
if you make it a priority, like 3 times a year, even you go away for a night, or even for an afternoon, you know, even just getting her in a different environment. You might have to be creative, but get her away. That
Mhm.
speaks volumes, and that's so good for your marriage relationship. Going away together, it could be 1 night, 2 nights. It doesn't have to be expensive. I mean, for her, going to a Motel 6 would probably do it. Just getting her away from her house.
Well, we stayed at one once. It was a little sketch.
Girl, no, I
Maybe
want
Holiday
the
Inn.
Ritz-Carlton.
Maybe the Westin.
Yeah.
But even practically, I mean, in the evening when you're at home, helping
Yes.
get the kids to bed.
You men helping silence those voices.
Yeah.
Getting her environment in order so she can be at peace.
Finish the dishes.
And doesn't have the voices in the back of her
Yeah.
head. She can be at peace and take a little time for herself before going to bed.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
That's huge. And if you want to win the Heroes Award, you
Mhm.
saying, what can I do to help, is huge for a woman.
Yeah.
Because what that provides for her is, and I know what it provided for me is, I'm not in this alone. I've got a partner. I've got a teammate. Together we can do this.
Yeah.
You do that. You take care of that. I'll take care of that. Meet you in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Right? So just finding what works for you.
I want to ask you just a little bit and get your advice on setting the stage for good sex.
Okay.
You know, I think we see in movies and these dramatic TV shows where the woman comes home after work and they have a candlelight dinner and she's already got her lingerie on and he just takes her to the bedroom and they have
Throws her on the bed.
Yeah, and they have passionate sex and
Right.
she's just ready.
Right.
You know, whereas I know for me, it's like I want to shower at the end of the day. I want to, you know, prepare myself or have or I don't want to be surprised, honestly.
Right.
Like the
Right.
age and the stage, I guess, of life I'm in, I'm just not there to just
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, throw it on me. I'm ready to be
Right.
surprised, right? I need a little lead in or warm
Right.
up or cue in. And same with sometimes my sex drive on a day-to-day basis is a little bit higher than maybe my husband's, and asking him or putting it out there and putting
Yeah.
my feelers, but that's very vulnerable. I think
Yes.
I feel very vulnerable as a woman putting it out there.
Right.
So finding that, what are some clues or
Right.
keys to setting the stage for good sex, but having that communication
Yeah.
early on in the day?
Well, I think you hit on a big part of it is that what happens in the movies is really not real.
Yeah.
Okay. That's why we like all the romantic novels and romantic movies, because it's the fairy tale, the fantasy, but it's not real life. I mean, you have those moments where the sex is just great because the conditions were set, right?
And it was spontaneous. Yeah.
But real life, day-to-day intimacy in marriage sometimes is humdrum boring. And we need to know going into that, that it's not, this fairy tale movie that we have all grown up with. But I think there are ways to communicate, and you hit on it. You said it's so vulnerable to say, I'm in the mood. I want sex.
Yeah.
But remember what men find irresistible?
The enthusiasm.
Is women being vulnerable.
Yeah. Okay.
A woman's vulnerability. Say, I'm almost embarrassed to ask you this, but I'm just like my body, I need to have sex. And you're the one that I want to have it with.
Yeah.
And just being honest, I think men will smile and snicker at that and love that. And again, remember, men want to meet your need. And so we need to set the conditions. And I think the mindset is huge. And remember, the biggest sex organ for both people is in your mind. It's in your mind. Like, you can have full on sex and not be present but be having sex and not even be there. This is like robotic sex. Yeah. But if you put your mind to it, put your mind and focus and be present and concentrate and stay in it and think about all the things that you love about each other and touching each other. I mean, fondling and foreplay, all of that is so important. But I think what makes for heroic, passionate sex is him having his testosterone levels up. If he's stressed, if he's exhausted, you're probably not going to get the best out of him. Right. Same with her if she's stressed and exhausted. So creating those environments. I know one couple who said that we had to. I talked to them about scheduling sex, and they thought that was ridiculous.
I was just going to ask you about that.
Schedule in sex. But I remember coming back. I had spoken at a thing, and I came back a year or two later, and the man said to me, "We do exactly what you said." I said, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "We schedule in sex." Every Tuesday from this time to this time, the kids are at school. We leave our workplace, come home where the house is empty, and we have sex. I said, and that works for you. They said it works great because they're looking forward to it. They're thinking about it. They know it's going to happen. They both want it to happen. They know this is their time alone. And so that's like scheduling in sex, scheduling in date nights. And some people will say, but that doesn't seem romantic. That takes all the romance out of it. Right. Why can't it just be spontaneous? Right. Again, that happens in the movies. Yeah. Not in real life. Sometimes it does, but don't expect that or you're going to be really let down. Yeah. You're going to be really disappointed. Yeah. So you have to choose to get into it. Men, tell her she satisfies you.
Yeah, that's good.
Help her silence the voices the best way that you can. And what I had to learn early on is that sometimes all the ducks aren't going to line up in a row. And I'm his wife. He is my husband. And if he wants to have sex, I need to get over myself. And go ahead and have it with him. Okay? And tell myself the truth. He's not using me. Yeah. I'm his wife.
That's good.
And I want him to be pleased. And he wants to please me. So I think just you need to, again, learn what works for you. Yeah. Be open to learning what works for him. Yeah. And talk about it. That can create
that simple
very
communication.
Intimate conversations, which are great to have.
That's
so
good.
You don't be afraid. Get past the fear. Even get past the fear of being rejected, because that's what most people are afraid of. Is he going to reject me? Is she going to reject me?
Right.
Learn to deal with rejection. Okay?
Well,
because sometimes it's going to happen.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's not rejection. It's just like a not yet, not right now.
Right.
Let me.
Yeah.
I got a few things I got to take care of first.
And it's not personal. It's not personal to you. It's just the fact is I'm so wiped out. Or I'm so stressed out, or I can't get my mind, or I've got to finish this before I can be clear enough to be present with you.
Be ready. Yeah, that's good. Okay. So you gave us a lot of information today and tips and tricks on how to have heroic sex. So let's just wrap it up one more time so we're very clear so all of our listeners can go home tonight and have heroic sex.
Yes.
We are going to...
And again, I'm not a sex therapist. I don't claim to be, just so you know. But these are just things that I've experienced and talked with lots of people about and learned and read myself. So I would say set the conditions, be mindful to set the conditions, choose to have regular sex with your mate. because it's better for your marriage, it's better for your children, and it's better for the two of you. So a lot of it isn't going to just come natural or spontaneously. You need to make those kinds of decisions. And again, each couple is different. Define what works for you.
Yeah.
For some men, they want to see you in sexy lingerie. My husband could care less. He'd take me just naked. For me, I like the lingerie because what it did for me.
Yeah.
So again, you just need to decide.
That's good.
What works.
So good. Thank you for joining us today. Please like us down below. Make sure you subscribe, leave a comment, and if you have any questions, make sure you ask them. We would love to answer them. Hit the notification bell so you know when a new episode's coming, and we can't wait to see you next time.